everyone, my name is Justin DeSena. I'm a student of Ateneo de Manila University, and as you also may know, I am also a proud alumnus of your very own Reedley International School, finding my way there in 2007 and finally graduating in 2018. With that being said, I've been asked to talk to you today about something that should be very, very familiar to me: Retian kindness and how it ends up rippling. First off, let's deal with Retian kindness, a curious term. Kindness, as defined by Merriam-Webster, is the simple act or condition of being kind. But what then makes it Retian? How can something as general as kindness magically become something so specific to us? Having spent 12 years of my life in this school, I've heard many things about it. I've heard people tell me they love the place, but to be honest, this isn't always the case. It never feels great hearing bad things because this is the school where I grew up. It's where my family is. However, therein lies the good. The fact that I can even feel this way at all. The unanimous good thing that people say about us is that its people are ultimately kind. And because of that, I've never been able to let it go as my home away from home. I remember the friends that I've had since lower school very well because I'm still friends with them today. Calling them on Discord and having a bang-up time playing games like Minecraft, Valorant, and League of Legends together. I remember being the last one to leave the school every now and then and feeling unafraid, knowing that the school janitors and the kuya guards would be there to keep me safe. And of course, I remember the rest of the staff, all the way from the cafeteria workers to the teachers, principals, and other office workers in the school, who, one way or another, never let me fall behind my full potential and always inspired me to achieve more. To conclude this first but very important point, Retian kindness is simply the kindness that we embody, the kind that we're lucky to have in Reedley. The comforting kindness that is not taught to us, but passed on to us. The kind that reminds us that we're never truly alone. But now, let's talk about how kindness ripples. I'm not here to sugarcoat the concept of kindness to you, and with new experiences, I'm definitely not here to lie to you. Let it be known that after having lived for 18 years, and 12 of those years being spent in Reedley International School, perhaps the kindest school there is, I can confidently say, kindness doesn't necessarily mean kindness in return. Just because you're kind to somebody doesn't mean that they, or the world, will ever need to be kind to you. So you may ask, why be kind at all? Excuse me. Sorry. Why be kind at all? There are two things that I want to teach to you today that I picked up from my college life, and they both involve philosophy. Don't worry, I'm not here to bore you, so we won't be jumping in too deep. This is the first thing. You may have heard of Socrates, the so-called grandfather of Western philosophy. In a document called The Apology, one of his students, Plato, attempts to reconstruct the final words his master gave in court before his wrongful execution. In it, Socrates, guilty for nothing but practicing a philosophy that aimed to point out the truth that the people in power at the time were not truly as wise as they claimed they were, was sentenced to death. But Socrates stated that, being a lone philosopher, he knew that this day would come, and he was not afraid to die. He says, "You are wrong, sir, if you think that a man who is any good at all should take into account the risk of life or death. He should look to this only in his actions, whether what he does is right or wrong, whether he is acting like a good man, or a bad man." People are kind because they know that the world is not always kind to people, and that sometimes the only sanctuary that you can find is in another. If you know me from Reedley, despite my jolly attitude almost all the time, I wasn't always as happy as I seemed. I am just as much a victim to bad days as you are. I am as intelligent, as emotional, as human as you are. Therefore, I take it upon myself to be kind because it's right. It's not every day that you'll feel as good as you feel now. Perhaps even today you don't feel as good as you'd like to, and that's okay. Kindness is the knowledge that the person I'm walking next to in the hall, or the person rushing to a closing elevator door, might feel the same way. Kindness isn't hard, and it has an extraordinary payoff. But like I said before, that payoff isn't always kindness in return. Then what is it? This is where the second thing I want to teach you comes into play. The fact that philosophy thrives on the uncertain. It's the pursuit of knowledge and the hope to understand the unknown. What then is the unknown that we receive from kindness? It could be a gentle smile, or an awkward thanks that doesn't make you feel any better. It could be something that makes you feel like you've earned a reward, or something that makes you feel like you just wasted your time. But here's the problem. Kindness isn't something you should do for the reward. You don't rely on the unknown, and what you immediately receive in return shouldn't matter. The payoff for kindness is the fact that you've made the world a little bit easier to bear for everybody. Kindness doesn't ripple because it automatically sprouts up from nowhere once you're kind. You don't introduce kindness into a group of people and see it bounce off of them like a pinball. You need to plant it in the ground, and you need to allow it to flourish. It is nurtured, and it needs to grow. I promise you, being just a little bit nicer to everybody around you will make your immediate environment seem a little bit happier. It will make your friends smile a little more, your parents' footsteps seem a little lighter, your school a better place to study, and the world a better place to live in. Kindness does indeed ripple over time, and that to me is payoff enough. However, before I finish, I just want to remind you about the fact that kindness isn't just about everybody else. Despite it being your responsibility to be kind, for your sake and for others, you are allowed to take breaks. You are allowed to find some time alone on the days when you're not feeling that great, and even on the days where you are. Kindness isn't a consistent endeavor. It's a constant belief in the necessity to do your best to give what you sometimes need the most: happiness. Readly teaches you to give this kindness to everybody. But never forget that everybody will always include you. Thank you.